Sorry, we're just waiting for the Vice President. Is coming up the stairs, so sorry for the delay, so that we begin once he's in the room.
Is Blessed around?
In waiting, Honorable?
Yes, yes. When the time comes, I'm going to really address on that point.
You are still waiting.
We are going to make sure that yeah, he has arrived. That's not so centered.
Okay. Thank you. The moment we've been waiting for. Morning, members of the Fourth State. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Emirati Morgan Richard Changrai House. We're sorry for the delay in actually convening this press conference. I know we targeted it for 10:30, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, we are starting now. Before we hand over to the convener of the meeting, I have pleasure to inform you that we have senior leadership from the standing committee. On my right is Mr. Mkomwe, who is also the deputy organizing secretary of the party. And on the left of the president is Honorable Engineer Mwonzora, who is the vice president. And I will allow you to interface with us at a later stage. But with me here on my left is the president, Honorable Senator Douglas Mwonzora, who is going to address him. Honorable President, the press is waiting for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Secretary General, Honorable Vice President of the party, and the Deputy Organizing Secretary, one of our new Deputy Organizing Secretaries, Mr. Mwonzora. Mr. Mwonzora is from Binga. Don't worry about his size, he's a very, very young man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this press conference. I would like to start by apologizing for standing you for the delay in starting. I know that you have a lot of work to do, especially today being a Thursday. But also that we had set the press conference for 10:30, and at 10:30 we must always meet. We must always meet our times. A few things, of course, we are being done. So we want to apologize, especially my friend. I want to really apologize to you for the delay in starting. This is the first time that the MDC is publicly commenting on the Pamona deal. And we have called this press conference to set the record straight regarding our position on the various aspects of the deal. We also want to share with you our serious observations on the deal. But before I start, we want to make it clear that the MDC, being a social democratic party, is pro-investment, it is pro-business, it is pro-commerce, it is a pro-clean cities. In fact, we want smart cities. We are pro-environment and we are pro-development. We are also, as I said, pro-investment, both domestic and foreign investment. Therefore, those people who come to this country to invest their monies in the productive sector of this country are most welcome. So we welcome investors. That is our stance. When the Pamona deal was made public, there were various reactions from various sections of society, including the government. Some went on the defensive, some resorted to the usual propaganda and name calling and making unresearched assertions about other people. Some simply went to the default mode of blaming the MDC. Some resorted to misinformation. But as the MDC, we resisted the temptation of commenting on something without research. For that reason, the National Standing Committee instructed Engineer Mwonzora to look into this deal. He is our Vice President. He is ex-mayor of Harare, but also most importantly, he is an engineer who would understand the technical aspects behind this deal. He has completed his investigations and was able to brief the Standing Committee yesterday regarding this deal. We noticed that before the deal came into being, there was a due diligence done. A committee, a multi-stakeholder committee or delegation was sent to Europe to carry a due diligence exercise on GeoJennings. As you know, GeoJennings, which is the contractor, is a company based in the Netherlands, but it is a subsidiary of a holding company based in Italy, according to the documents. What we have noticed is that the committee that did due diligence produced a report, and in that report they have a conclusion that they made, and their conclusion was in two parts. The first part was that it was prudent to do business with the GeoJennings. In other words, they passed the contractor. The second recommendation was that there was a need for renegotiation on certain aspects of the deal. Certain financial aspects had to be re-looked at. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear that the recommendations of the committee that did due diligence was ever carried out. And as a result, what we see is that the deal was not renegotiated as he had been recommended. And as a result, we see a few important things that we want to share with you. So there are a number of things that we have observed, especially in the financial modeling of this deal. Number one is the revenue section. According to the Pamona finance model, revenue is derived from three sources, namely waste disposal at $37.80 per ton, the sale of electricity, which is going to be generated from the refuse, recycling of the refuse, the sales of recycling material. Recycled material is going to be sold at $158 per ton. Sale of electricity is at $25.20 per megawatt, I suppose. The Pamona dump site has vast and extensive resource of waste disposal over many years, which can be used in this project. But we have not seen the quantification of the present waste. We have not seen the quantification of the waste before the deal. Before the deal, Harare was producing refuse. Before the deal, there was a dump at Pamona. That dump is raw material, we suppose, for whatever is to be done. But it has not been factored in, and we think that is wrong. The second aspect is the budget section, the cash flow and capital outlay. According to the documents relating to the memorandum of understanding as well as the feasibility study, the investor is supposed to pour in $302,901 into the project over a period of 5 years. This year alone, which is year 1, GeoJennings is supposed to inject $68,239,000 into Harare, into the deal. Unfortunately, this has not been done. So no construction has been done, no installation of any facility has been done. Nothing has been injected as far as our investigation has gone. Nothing has been injected into the country up to now. Yet there are now claims for revenue. The contractor has to be paid. That's what we hear now. Now, we think that it is wrong for an investor to start collecting revenue without injecting anything. There is a danger, of course, that we may end up sponsoring ourselves from ourselves, and that has to be looked into. However, in subsequent years, I have talked about a $302,901 being injected into the deal. This is investment coming from outside into the country, and prima facie, that is welcome. We need money flowing into the country, and it is going to flow. As I said, this year we must get about $68 million. Then year 2, about 89 million euro. Year 3, 59. I'm rounding million euro. Year 4, 41 million euro. Year 5, 46 million euro. This is the money that must be injected into the country. However, in the subsequent years, commencing with year 7, there is an unusual continued capital expenditure and additional acquisition of assets as follows, stated in the budget. Now, we have been told that the investor is bringing 302, but we see from the financial records or from the documents that in year 7 the company is going to spend 88 million on acquisition of assets, additional expenditure, and in year 15 it is going to spend 30 million euro. In year 16 up to year 24, they are going to spend 8 million euro. Year 25, they are going to spend 33 million euro. And in years 26 to 30, they are going to spend 8 million euro. Here is our problem. This deal is going to see the project spending money on capital acquisition and capital expenditure to the total tune of 239 million euro over the period of 30 years. Now, this money is going to be spent from where? We suspect is going to be spent from the money that is being generated by the business. In other words, if this is not well explained, if this is we do not pay attention to this, it could be a basis upon which money can be siphoned from the company to the prejudice of Zimbabwe. The total investment value is not going to be 302. It is going to be $554 million. The question that then arises are as follows. First, what equipment needs to be bought every other year throughout the course of the project. Throughout the course of the project, every other year, you are buying equipment. What type of equipment is that? Number 2, if the assets being acquired are to enhance the project. In other words, if the additional expenditure is to enhance the project, how come the total electricity generated will remain constant? If we invest 302, we are still going to be getting 22 megawatts, is it? That we are going to get. If we increase the investment by 239 million, we are going to still get the same amount of electricity. We are not very convinced that that is a correct way of proceeding. Number 3 is the overheads analysis section that we did. A total of 4,480,000 maintenance costs are oddly stated for over 3 years. That is from year 4 to year 6, when the up to when the project goes to 30 years. So we have maintenance costs for 3 years, and yet the project goes to 30 years. We do not understand what this actually means. Then the other issue is the issue of fuel costs. The deal implicitly states that the city of Harare will bring waste to the dump site at its own cost and trucks. But the Pamona dump site incurs exorbitant fuel costs per annum. For example, in year 1 alone, the cost of fuel is going to be 2.86 million euro, or 3 million US dollars. That translates into 8,300 US dollars per day for 65 days continuous. That will be the fuel that will be consumed. And if we work it out using the present cost, it means we are going to be spending 4,700 liters of fuel per day. That is not convincing to us. Then the other source of concern is the procurement of the garbage trucks. We are told that there is 27 million euro, 27.7 million euro for the compactor and the skip trucks by Geogenics. In other words, they are going to procure trucks. This works out to 405,000 euro each for the trucks. We have done our own research using our own internal systems, and we have discovered that the same trucks are going for 87,000 euros. They are being sold to us at 405,000, and yet if you Google the same truck, it is going for 87,000 euro. That means that there is a potential, there is a possibility, real possibility, that the price has been overstated, and overstated by 365%, and this to us is unacceptable. Now, there is something called the net present value, and this focuses profitability of the project. And according to the documents prepared by Geogenics, prepared with the stakeholders, the technical people that were involved, including the government, according to them, the NPV, the net present value of the project, is minus 161 million euro. I've just rounded it up. What that means is that all the people involved in this deal, government and Geogenics, know that the project is not profitable. So the project is not going to be profitable. The project is going to run at a loss about minus 161 million euro. Now, why should we undertake a project with a negative net present value? what does it herald? Why do we do a project we know will generate a loss? Why shouldn't we do those interventions that make this project profitable? Now, our impression is that this deal was hurried. It was done without paying due attention to the financial model. The MDC therefore recommends as follows. The deal, number one, the deal is currently structured is not reasonably justifiable and not supportable. We cannot support a deal which, according to the financials, according to the finance statements, is going to run at a loss anyway. And we propose that the government immediately renegotiates this deal to take into account three things. Number one, what we have observed as a stakeholder, we the MDC as a stakeholder have observed certain anomalies within this deal which make this deal not make financial sense. So our representations must be considered during the justifying the renegotiation. Number two, there were certain recommendations by the committee that did due diligence. Those recommendations were not factored in. So we must renegotiate this deal so that they are factored in. Then there were certain observations made in council, Harare City Council, at committee stage and at council stage. Certain observations by the councillors and so on, they must be taken into account. They must be taken into account so that this deal benefits Zimbabwe. It is sensible that we must process waste matter. It is sensible that we must generate electricity out of it. It is sensible that we must invest in cleaning our city. But in getting all that, we must do something that makes business sense. So we are not calling for this deal to be thrown out altogether. We are calling for the renegotiation of this deal so that it makes sense, so that Zimbabwe that doesn't unnecessarily lose. Now, pending the renegotiation of this deal, there are a few things that must be done. It is not fair for people to continue to be charged while the deal is being negotiated. In fact, to us, it doesn't make sense that no infrastructure has been made, no investment has come, and people are beginning to pay. They are paying for what? That is problematic to us. Now, as Zimbabweans, we must look at the future of our country. We must encourage investors. But whenever we are having investors, we must make sure that it is a good deal, not for the people who are involved in the deal making, but for Zimbabwe. Is this deal good for Zimbabwe? It is not good for Zimbabwe as it is presently structured. Can it be good for Zimbabwe? Yes, it can. It can be good for Zimbabwe if it is renegotiated. For example, I think they talk about Harare supplying about, is it 500 or 1,000 tons of refuse. And yet we know that Harare is 8 trucks which are functioning right now. So 8 trucks to deliver the amount of waste material needed, they cannot meet the target. Currently, according to the documents, Harare is, I think, collecting 302 tons a day. So that will be multiplying it by 3. With the current fleet, that is not achievable. We would favor a deal where the investor will supply the trucks that collect the garbage to the dump site. And if we have that, then our people will benefit from garbage being collected more efficiently and it being processed more quickly to the benefit of everyone. There is need to revise this deal. There is need to relook at this deal. And as most of you know by now, this is a national project and not necessarily a city council project. Thank you very much. Let me end there. Engineer Mzuri may want to add one or two things on this.
Thank you, Honorable President. Yes, the Harare residents have spoken against this deal, and we have to listen to Harare residents when they speak to say this deal is not good. When we went through this deal, we discovered that while we might blame councillors totally, the deal was done between central government through local government and geogenics. So it's purely a deal between government and geogenics. And it has been made a national project, as the President has said. Number two, from the quantities of garbage that come in, technically, it's impossible to produce the electricity they are talking about. There is no quantification in the document to say such quantity of which garbage will produce what, the 22 megawatts of electricity. So we need that to make sure that we get the benefit of the electricity they talk about. In general, if you go to failed sewage works, you discover that we waste some gas. You can turn that into electricity. But it doesn't just turn into electricity. Some projects are not viable by just looking at them. You must be able to show that they will be viable. This garbage collection method doesn't show how viable it can be. To me, this deal has been done maybe to improve our city, yes, to keep it clean, but it really must be renegotiated, as the President has said, or else it must be advertised to get new tenders, to see whether there could be more comparative tenders. The 5,000 tons is said to be brought in the first year, then 700 tons in the second year, then about 1,000 tons in the third year. But if you read the contract document, it speaks of a build, operate, and transfer, BOT contract. If you go to Pamona and show me what has been built before charging, then we can be talking of something. I have not seen anything. You are the journalist, maybe you can come and tell us what has been built already. Because we must be able to get the benefits out of what has been built, and it's not there at present. When you come to the 1,000 tons, we're talking of 500, without making sure that the garbage is collected at source, we are actually getting into unknown territory. If the charge is at $40, people might dig their homes and hide that garbage in their homes. It might never reach the city of Harare West dump. And the critical thing is the payment model makes it very, very unacceptable. The payment model asks people to go and pay $40 at the dump site. Then it charges City of Harare for whatever quantity they should deliver. There's a payment certificate plus another certificate, which you cannot take care of, which is done at the dump site by geogenics. How they are combined, no one knows. And people don't earn in dollars. There is no clarification on how City of Harare should pay the dollars to geogenics. It doesn't charge people in dollars. It charges people in local currency. It's not clear. So it's the deal really makes all residents look at it and wonder whether we are serious at governance. So we have to look at it as council and government and make sure that the benefits accrue to all citizens in the country. There is need for research to prove that the kind of garbage we are likely to bring to the place is gonna have the right calorific values to make sure that at incineration you are likely to generate electricity. If they have proved that, then we are happy. But I don't see in the document where you come from 500 to 1,000 and where the average is to make sure that you benefit the 22 megawatts. And if you look at it, you want to see that is the critical item. The critical item there is we are going to produce electricity after wasting how much electricity. They give some quantities, but it's not properly clarified. Now this has gone more into a technical area than the financial area. There is also a problem where they charge 6 cents per kilowatt hour. Right now electricity costs 10 cents or more. I don't understand how Georgianics will be paying 6 cents. Will be paying 6 cents and to be shared between it and City of Harare. There is a lot that needs to be looked at. Hence, we might need, Honorable President, that this deal is renegotiated or, to be fair to the public, may be re-advertised and make sure that we see other players and compare. We need a state-of-the-art dam site, but that state-of-the-art dam site must benefit residents, and they must be clear that it's to their advantage. If it can't, then we have to look for methods that we take away our waste, which are not too expensive to the common man. I thank you.
Thank you.